Hello again, the Spirit House here. Um, I'm going to begin again with chapter 69 of the Book of Enoch because, interestingly enough, as I wrote in my description of my last video, it's shut off 3 times. It's quit recording um, when trying to read to begin chapter 69, the names and functions of the fallen angels and Satan's and the secret oath. So I shall begin again and see what happens. Let's see. Somebody does not want me to get this message out. These are fragments from the Book of Noah, which go along with the Book of Enoch. Okay, so it's chapter 69, the names and functions of the fallen angels and Satan's, the secret oath. And after this judgment, they shall terrify and make them to tremble because they have shown this to those who dwell on the earth. And behold the names of those angels, and those are their names. The first of them is Samyaza, the second Artakifa, the third Arman, the fourth Kokabel, the third Turiel, the sixth Rumiel, the seventh Daniel, the eighth Nakael, the ninth Barakel, the 10th Azazel, the 11th Armaros, the 11th Armaros, the 12th Batariel, the 13th Busazayel, the 14th Hananel, the 15th Terel, and the 16th Simapeziel, the 17th Jetrel, the 18th Tumael, the 19th Terel, the 20th Rumael, the 21st Azazel. And these are the chiefs of their angels and their names. And their chief ones over hundreds and over 50s and over 10s. The name of the first Yequan, that is, the one who led astray all the sons of God and brought them down to the earth and led them astray through the daughters of men. And the second was named Asbeel. He imparted to the holy sons of God evil counsel and led them astray so that they defiled their bodies with the daughters of men. And the third was named Gadriel, and it is he who showed the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve, and showed the weapons of death to the sons of men, the shield and the coat of mail, and the sword for battle, and all the weapons of death to the children of men. And from his hand they have proceeded against those who dwell on the earth from that day and forevermore. And the fourth was named Penemu. He taught the children of men the bitter and the sweet, and he taught them all the secrets of their wisdom. And he instructed mankind in writing with ink and paper, and thereby many sinned from eternity to eternity and until this day. For men were not created for such a purpose, to give confirmation to their good faith with pen and ink. For men were created exactly like the angels, to the intent that they should continue pure and righteous, and death, which destroys everything, could not have taken hold of them. But through this their knowledge they are perishing, and through this power it is consuming me. And the fifth was named Kazdea. This is he who showed the children of men all the wicked smitings of spirits and demons, and the smitings of the embryo in the womb, that it may pass away, and the smitings of the soul, the bites of the serpent, and the smitings which befall through the noontide heat, the son of the serpent named Tabaet. And this is the task of Kazbeel, the chief of the oath which he showed to the holy ones when he dwelt high above in glory, and its name is Beka. This angel requested Michael to show him the hidden name, that he might enunciate it into the oath, so that those might quake before that name and oath who revealed all that was in secret to the children of men. And this is the power of this oath, for it is powerful and strong, and he placed this oath, a K, in the hands of Michael. And these are the secrets of this oath. And they are strong through his oath. And the heaven was suspended before the world was created, and forever. And through it the earth was founded upon the water, and from the secret recesses of the mountains come beautiful waters, from the creation of the world and unto eternity. And through that oath the sea was created, And as its foundation he set it for the sand against the time of its anger. And it dare not pass beyond it from the creation of the world unto eternity. And through that oath are the depths made fast, and abide and stir not from their place from eternity to eternity. And through that oath the sun and moon complete their course, and deviate not from their ordinance from eternity to eternity. And through that oath the stars complete their course, and he calls them by their names, and they answer him from eternity to eternity. And in like manner the spirits of the water and of the winds and of all zephyrs, and their paths from all the quarters of the winds, and there are preserved the voices of the thunder and the light of the lightnings, and there are preserved the chambers of the hail and the chambers of the hoarfrost, and the chambers of the mist, and the chambers of the rain and dew. And all these believe and give thanks before the Lord of spirits, and glorify him with all their power. And their food is in every act of thanksgiving, and they thank and glorify and extol the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. And this oath is mighty over them. And through it they are preserved, and their paths are preserved, and their course is not destroyed. Close of the third parable. And there was great joy amongst them, and they blessed and glorified and extolled, because the name of that Son of Man has been revealed unto them. And he sat on the throne of his glory, and the sum of judgment was given unto the Son of Man. And he caused the sinners to pass away and be destroyed from off the face of the earth, and those who have led the world astray. With chains they shall be bound, and in their assemblage, place of destruction, shall they be imprisoned. And all their works vanish from the face of the earth, and from henceforth there shall be nothing corruptible, for that Son of Man has appeared, and has seated himself on the throne of his glory. And all evil shall pass away before his face. And the world of that Son of Man shall go forth, and shall be strong before the Lord of spirits. This is the third parable of Enoch. Chapter 70. The final translation of Enoch. And it came to pass after this, that his name during his lifetime was raised aloft to that Son of Man and to the Lord of spirits from amongst those who dwell on the earth. And he was raised aloft on the chariots of the Spirit, and his name vanished among them. And from that day I was no longer numbered amongst them. And he set me between the two winds, between the north and the west, where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the elect and the righteous. And there I saw the first fathers and the righteous, from whom the beginning dwell in that place. Chapter 71. Two earlier visions of Enoch. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, and it ascended into the heavens. And I saw the holy sons of God. They were stepping on flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their raiment, and their faces shone like snow. And I saw two streams of fire, and the light of that fire shone like hyacinth. And I fell on my face before the Lord of spirits. And the angel Michael, one of the archangels, seized me by my right hand, and lifted me up, and led me forth into all the secrets, and he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of the heaven, and all the chambers of all the stars and all the luminaries, whence they proceed before the face of the holy ones. And he translated my spirit into the heaven of heavens, and I saw there, as it were, a structure built of crystals, and between those crystals tongues of living fire. And my spirit saw the girdle which girt that the house of fire, and on its four sides were streams full of living fire, and they girt that house. And round about were seraphim, cherubic, and orphanon, and these are they who sleep not, and guard the throne of his glory. And I saw angels who could not be counted, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000s times 10,000, encircling that house. And Michael and Raphael and Gabriel and Phanuel, and the holy angels who are above the heavens, go in and out of that house. And they came forth from that house, and Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and many holy angels without number. And with them the head of days, his head white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. And I fell on my face, and my whole body became relaxed, and my spirit was transfigured. And I cried with a loud voice, with the spirit of power, and blessed and glorified and extolled. And these blessings which went forth out of my mouth were well pleasing before the head of days. And that head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, thousands and 10,000s of angels without number. And this is a lost passage wherein the Son of Man was described as accompanying the head of days, and Enoch asked one of the angels, as in chapter 46, concerning the Son of Man as to who he was. And he, the angel, came to me and greeted me with his voice and said unto me, This is the Son of Man who is born unto righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. And he said unto me, He proclaims unto thee peace in the name of the world to come. For from hence has proceeded peace since the creation of the world. And so shall it be unto thee forever and forever and forever. And all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsaketh him. With him there will be dwelling places, and with him their heritage. And they shall not be separated from him forever and ever and ever. And so there shall be length of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous shall have peace in an upright way, in the name of the Lord of spirits, forever and ever. And here we start the book of the courses of the heavenly luminaries. This is all to do with the planets, the stars, and their courses, with astrology, basically, and astronomy. The book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven, the relations of each, according to their classes, their dominion, and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin, and according to their months, which Uriel, the holy angel, who was with me, who is their guide, showed me. And he showed me all their laws exactly as they are, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world, and unto eternity, till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth till eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven, and its setting in the western portals of the heaven. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these portals. And the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also many windows to the right and left of these portals. And first there goes forth the great luminary, named the sun, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate, literally that portal, and shines in the face of the heaven. In this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th, those 6 portals in the cast. And in that 4th portal, from which the sun rises in the first month, are 12 window openings, from which proceed a flame when they are opened in their season. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that 4th portal 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the 4th portal in the west of the heaven. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter, to the 30th morning. On that day, the day is longer than the night by a 9th part, and the day amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that 4th portal, and sets in the 4th, and returns to the 5th portal of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it, and sets in the 5th portal. And then the day becomes longer by 2 parts, and amounts to 11 parts. And the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts, and it returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal, and rises and sets in the 6th portal 31 mornings on account of its sign. This is a side note, sorry to break up the middle of the chapter, but the earth is spinning faster now, so we obviously have less days between the full moons and the new moons. Anyway, this is It goes, on that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night. And the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer. And the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal, and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part, and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth from that 6th portal in the west and goes to the east and rises in the 5th portal for 30 mornings and sets in the west again in the 5th western portal. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from that 5th portal and sets in the 5th portal of the west and rises in the 4th portal for 31 mornings on account of its sign and sets in the west. On that day, the day is equalized with the night and becomes of equal length, and the night amounts to 9 parts and the day to 9 parts. That's winter equinox. And the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west and returns to the east and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal and sets in the west to the 3rd portal. And on that day the night becomes longer than the day, and night becomes longer than night, and day shorter than day till the 30th morning, and the night amounts exactly to 10 parts and the day to 8 parts. I'm sorry, that was autumnal equinox that I was talking about before, and this is winter equinox, or winter solstice, I'm sorry, on the 21st of December. This is a side note, this is not written. And the sun rises from that 3rd portal and sets in the 3rd portal in the west and returns to the east, and for 30 mornings rises in the 2nd portal in the east, and in like manner sets in the 2nd portal in the west of the heaven. And on that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from that 2nd portal and sets in the west in the 2nd portal, and returns to the east into the 1st portal for 31 mornings, and sets in the 1st portal in the west of the heaven. And on that day the night becomes longer and amounts to the double of the day. And the night amounts exactly to 12 parts and the day to 6. And the sun has therewith traversed the divisions of his orbit and turns again on those divisions of his orbit and enters that portal 30 mornings and sets also in the west opposite to it. And on that night has the night decreased in length by a 9th part, and in the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun has returned and entered into the 2nd portal in the east, and returns on those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the 3rd portal for 31 mornings, and sets in the west of the heaven. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its day 364. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night arise. Through the course of the sun these distinctions are made. They are separated. So it comes that this course becomes daily longer, and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law and all the course of the sun. And his return, as often as he returns 60 times and rises, the great luminary, which is named the sun forever and ever. And that which thus rises is the great luminary, and is so named according to its appearance, according to the Lord commanded, according as the Lord commanded. As he rises, so he sets and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night, and his light is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon, but as regards size they are both equal. Chapter 73. And after this law I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon, and her circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind, and light is given to her in definite measure, and her rising and setting change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is uniform, it amounts to the 7 parts of the light of the sun. the seventh part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes forth in the 30th morning, and on that day she becomes visible and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. And the one half of her goes forth by a seventh part, and her whole circumference is empty, without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, and the 14th part of her light. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part and the half thereof. And she sets with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with him, and receives the half of 1 part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, in the commencement of the lunar day, the moon sets with the sun, and is invisible that night with the 14 parts and the half of 1 of them. And she rises on the day with exactly a 7th part, and comes forth and recedes from the rising of the sun, and in her remaining days she becomes bright in the remaining 13 parts. Chapter 74. And I saw another course, a law for her, and how according to that law she performs her monthly revolution. And all these Uriel, the holy angel, who is the leader of them all, showed me, and their positions, and I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me, and I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights, till 15 days were accomplished. In single 7th parts she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in single 7th parts accomplishes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she alters her settings, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months the moon sets with the sun, in those 2 middle portals, the 3rd and 4th. She goes forth for 7 days, and turns about and returns again, through the portal where the sun rises, and accomplishes all her light, and she recedes from the sun, and in the 8th day enters the 6th portal from which the sun goes forth. And when the sun goes forth from the 4th portal, she goes forth 7 days, until she goes forth from the 5th and turns back again in 7 days into the 4th portal, and accomplishes all her light, and she recedes and enters into the 1st portal in 8 days. And she returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal from which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their positions, how the moons rose and the sun sets in those days. And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an overplus of 30 days. And all the days which accrue to it for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amount to 364 days. And the overplus of the sun and of the stars amounts to 6 days. In 5 years, 6 days every year come to 30 days. And the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. 13. This is verse 13, I'm sorry. In 3 years there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years 1,820 days. So that in 8 years there are 2,912 days. For the moon alone, the days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days. And in 5 years she falls 50 days behind. To the sum of 1,770 days, there is to be added 1,062 days. And in 5 years there are 1,770 days. So that for the moon, the days in 8 years amount to 2,832 days. For in 8 years she falls behind the amount of 80 days. All the days she falls behind in 8 years are 80. And the year is accurately completed in conformity with their world stations and the stations of the sun, which rise from the portals through which the sun, rises and sets 30 days. And that is the end of chapter 74. And I shall begin in the next video with chapter 75. I hope you all have a magnificent day. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Okay.